Hello, people of the internet. Hello, gang.
Hello.
How are we all doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah,
very good, very good. Welcome to everyone at home. This is episode 2 of Tale of Four Gamers, the Warcry edition. I'm coming to you today from a hotel room in Bergen, Norway, but don't worry, I've got progress. And everyone else is coming to you from their usual places. No, it is Bergen in Norway. That's where I am. Honestly, I'm really tired. I just walked down a massive hill.
I'm saying you're lying about the progress.
I do have some progress, like a really small amount of progress, but this month's going to be the month, Russ. Welcome to Tale of Four Gamers. This is our second Warcry episode. We are in the midst of building our first ever Warcry gangs, because none of us have ever played it before, which is a unique experience for Tale of Four Gamers. None of us know what we're doing. If you didn't know, then one of the things we do on this channel is that we involve as many people as we can and try and provide them with some hobby motivation to join in and build their own teams. So what we'll be doing in this episode is we'll be having a little chat about what we've been doing. Some of us went to Warhammer Fest. Some of us have played some other games. We've done some research on what we should be doing. We'll go through our updates for our four war bands. I keep wanting to say gangs, but it's not Necromunda. And then what we'll do, people on our Patreon have been painting along, building along, and submitting their progress. So we'll have a look through what they've been building. So hopefully this will provide some inspiration if you're joining in the I want to say the 8 points, and every time I'm like, hold on, is it 8 points, or is it 8 peaks, or is it 5 points, which is Gangs of New York?
The 8 peaks is a dwarf thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but is it a goblin thing now? Karak 8 peaks.
Yeah, and then it's like you said, Gangs of New York. But it used to be the all points as well, didn't it?
What's the all points?
That's what the 8 points were called before. What's his face? Archaon came along and was like, "I'll have that, thanks."
I think there's a Law of Warcry in 20 minutes video in there, Russ, for you to do. Have you considered starting a YouTube channel?
I have lots of times considered starting a YouTube channel. I could do with the extra sort of what are you making an extra a year now? You're making yourself about an extra £200,000 a year, right?
£400 million a year. Yeah, I've got. That's why I'm in Bergen. Yeah, it's great. YouTube, start a YouTube, kids. Hey, so I know we've all got some progress. Has anyone played any games yet?
No.
No
we're all sticking to our usual rule then of building the entire army and then trying to play the game.
And realize
when we were at Warhammer Fest, I did walk around trying to find a Warcry demo table, but there wasn't any.
It's one of the things we mentioned about Warhammer Fest is that the number of demo tables is really low. There was a Warcry event, but there was no. We were kind of hoping that we could find an excuse for someone to teach us Warcry. And there was none of that.
But that's something that I noticed. So I watched your video about Warhammer Fest, but I also watched most of the Heresy Hammer video, and they were talking about Warhammer Fest as well. Yeah, and they were basically like said something similar to you. It's like, well, we had tickets for the Horus Heresy event, and we went to that, and it was bloody brilliant. And then we walked around Warhammer Fest, and that was shit.
That's a bit strong, but it's not enough for 3 days if you didn't have games planned. But if you had games planned, there was enough things to keep you busy for, like, the best part of a day of just tootling around video games. And
honestly, I got a very strong impression. It's like, unless you've got games booked, don't go.
I think it's more that, like, I think there was a bit of a miss. I would say the biggest thing. I really enjoyed it. Like me and Gary went. We played a couple of tournaments. We spent our last day poddling around, and thankfully, we're also the sort of people who. The 3 big, like Golden Demon was lovely to look at. We don't need to be in a live preview, and we don't really need to do a 10th edition demo. So if you're really excited about those things, we're not the best barometer. Yeah. But fine. So I think the general thing, if I was to say one big thing, it was this communication thing of, I went into it, I think probably you did, Gary, imagining like we're going to a big tournament. Like if I went to Adepticon or Nova, you wouldn't buy just the entry ticket and expect there to be enough for you to do for 3 days. Like you would assume that the deal is you buy the entry ticket and then you pick the events you want to play, and the rest of the sort of walk around things are just for the time you've got off. And I think maybe there was this idea, a lot of people didn't know that and therefore bought a 3-day ticket and did not book anything else. And then there was not enough stuff to do. And I think that's probably a communication thing. Like for me, that's like, why would you do that? But of course, I've been to those big events before, so I understand that if I was going to then over open and I didn't book myself a single game to play, I just booked the weekend ticket. Yeah, maybe there's half a day's of stuff there.
Yeah, there wasn't enough participation games or anything like that. There was a board game cafe. There was the Squid Catapult. There was the video games. You could probably do all of those in one day, and then you've got 2 days to knock about, really. Yeah. I did see a lot of people walking up and down the tournaments just looking at the tables to see people's armies, because they've made that into something they could do to kill some of their time, which, that shows how they...
Kids, I don't know, did any of you ever go to like the early 90s Games Days, or even maybe some late night? So I went to Games Day, I think it was Games Day 90 and 91 I went to, when it was, one of them was in either Derby or Nottingham, I forget now, and then the next one was Birmingham NEC.
Yeah.
And both of them were just brilliant. So much to do.
I went to some of the late 90s, early 2000s ones, and the main draw for me was be able to interact with the people that make the miniatures. They'd have the sculpting team there, they'd have loads of authors, they'd have like Forge World there, and you could actually go and talk to the people that make all the things.
I think it
seems like, obviously I didn't go to Fest, but from what I hear, that was all completely missing.
Well, it's done by a specific events team, isn't it? And I think it's such a shame.
I think that's part of the thing. And look, I'm not like, I get it. Like it's difficult, right? Especially at that point, you've got like, I don't know the internal politics. I would guess it's something like persuading Forge World in amongst their current schedule that they're expected to do, to also take on providing people with a briefing to not talk about these things, but do talk about those things in a desks environment on a double bank holiday weekend. Like, come on, it's a big organization. They're just going to say, no, that's not in their fucking brief.
That is also
job description.
It is also a great bit of where the rumor mill comes from. It's like, I was at Games Day and I spoke to the Forge World team and they were telling me about this next thing that they're building. And, and it's part of the fun, really, I think, to have snippets come out like that.
We were talking just before we came in air, though, as well, and saying, like, the absolute churn of the Warcry release rate, for example, and Warcry is just one of the games that's got an incredibly high release rate. And maybe it's like, okay, everyone, slow down the release rate. Slow down the release rate. Well, what do we do with our time? Warhammer Fest! Just like, okay, stop what you're doing for a month and get ready for Warhammer Fest.
It's interesting. And so I should say, thanks, Games Workshop. I've got a Nightmare Quest box, which seems so quick after Blood Hunt. But what it does mean is we've got more jungle gym terrain. So we're going to, and Nathan is painting it up. Nathan's painting up our jungle gym terrain.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thanks, Nathan. He's painting it up. It looks fucking amazing. He's well excited about painting a ziggurat to go in it. He thinks it's going to be his Age of Sigmar Gur board, but I think we all think it's going to be everyone's, like we're all going to be using it for Warcry around Nathan's house.
Yeah, that probably is the plan. Everybody around Nathan. There is this unending march of releases. Like there's been 4 Gallo Darks. Like it seems like every other month. And then 4.
The Squat and Beastmen one was the last of that arc, and now we're on this new, which I really like the idea of, which is this campaign, almost Blackstone Fortressy version of Kill Team, which I'd love to try. But there's been 4. I think they're doing it like seasons. Like that. Like I don't know if Nightmare Quest is the end of the Gur arc, and then they go into a different realm of the 8 realms of the mortal realms. The realms.
Yeah,
I would guess so.
Yeah, because there was Heart of Gur, Beastie Face, Nightmare Quest. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I mean, our sum up is, we hope to play a game of Warhammer Fest. We did not get a chance because we spent 2 days playing 12 hours of gaming a day and then a day walking around. We've got the new set, which is lovely, and we will definitely play on it. But basically, we still know nothing. What I should say is, despite all of our busyness of going to fests and going to events and building armies for other systems, we have made quite a lot of progress. So let us commence with Gary. You've done lots, and you've instigated a new painting scene, which I think now loads of us are now following. So how are you doing? You've started off with bases because that's a weird thing, right?
Right, yeah. So everything came on non-standard sort of bases to what I was expecting, and I've decided to use the Shattered Dominion as being the easy way to do bases, but then they don't do 28.5 mil bases, is it? And
right.
And there's no 80 mil base. I need that, and I no 50 mil base. I need that for all my allies. Yeah, so I'm doing Legionnaires. They need 3 28 mil bases, and then I've got the big ogre with a spear and a shield. And then I've got a Crusher Thermagant. He fits nicely on the 64, which is fine. And then the Centurion's an 80. A lot of converting to just get cutting up existing Shattered Dominion onto those base sizes, make them fit. And then after that, I didn't do any more converting. Everything's built stock straight on top. Sprayed brown and then Zenfold from the top grey. Everything is getting a really simple paint scheme. I'm sticking to, I think it's 8 to 10 paints, in total. And I'm doing it really sort of like tabletop commission style, where I'm not picking out belt buckles. I'm not even going in with silver to pick out like spikes. And as detailed as it gets is like, if there's a helmet, I'll paint it red. That'll be it. And yeah, it's really hard to not pick out details. It's like everything else I do, I'm really nitpicking about everything has to get a bit of paint on it, make it separate. So just glazing over a whole area and just ignoring the fact that there's straps and trinkets there.
Forcing yourself to not spend time on it.
Yeah, and they've gone really quick. Like both of the big monsters, which were the test ones, were all done in about 90 minutes each.
Wow.
And then an oil wash on top of that, just because I'm learning oil washes now, but it didn't really need to be done. But yeah, they look really good. The 2 test models are done. And
I guess there's an argument that the oil wash sort of dirties things up a bit, which then excuses the fact that like all the shield is one color because it's all covered in the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could have picked out the star in silver and stuff. I've been really lazy on that shield. It's a beautiful big shield. But I kind of just want to get this team done, find out if I like the game, and then I can always come back to them later. Probably won't. But
you can come back to something else later. We've got spare gangs, Gary.
There's so much on my plate that I want to get done. I've got the 5th edition revisits. So I need to paint up my big troll, some new war machines for that. And then I also have a Gallow Dark, which is completely still on the sprue, which I would rather get to. So, things have to be given a small amount of time and then just move on, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Amazing. I mean, they look really good. They look like it looks like intentional, which is nice.
Yeah, and what I noticed when I finished it is it's pretty much exactly the same color schemes I did with my squats, which is orange and blue, and almost the same as my Space Wolves, which is grey, orange hair, and it's pretty much, that's all my update on those. I did add in Mibilor as well. She's been added in, so because I think she fits in that gang. She's almost done. And the only conversion I did on her is I didn't like the book under her foot, so I changed that to a skull.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just thought, why is a wizard standing on a book? It's done.
And then you've basically returned after that to 5th edition and started building your mega troll human person.
Yeah. So onto the troll, river troll hag. She's going to be a giant for the Fimmer. And then I've got like 5 war machines in the go, like 2 more rock lobbers, 2 doom divers, which are like rock droppers, and I've got 2 bolt throwers as well that are still in bits. Get it all done.
I didn't realize when you bought that troll. I didn't realize at the time it was a Trish Carden one.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been following her because I always land up commenting on her post. She pops up, like every single thing she posts now pops up in my Facebook and my Instagram. I'm just enjoying so much, seeing so much of her amazing stuff.
What's crazy is how much of her stuff I seem to have, like the Carmine Dragon, and then I'm finding things like Chaos Hounds, which I've got sitting there. They've been, and it seems to be like every post she posts something else. I'm like, oh, I love that. I've got one, or I want one. Yeah, she's had a tremendous output, hasn't she?
Yeah. Well, pretty much all monsters from the 90s and noughties. There wasn't very many other people sculpting any of the monsters for Games Workshop.
Brilliant. Well, that looks like loads of progress, looking really, really good. So I'm therefore going to move on to the other person who has tons of progress, Bobbie.
Yeah, I mean, you say tons of progress. I've got all my models put together now, at least all the ones I've bought, because who knows whether I'm going to end up buying some more. And I started painting them, but mostly just the skin.
Yeah, but that's like most of those models.
Yes, I think once I've got the skin all highlighted and looking nice, actually painting like fabric and stuff is going to go quite quickly, especially as I'm going to just throw contrast paint at them at that point and then neaten them up.
Yeah, they're really nice, and they're really varied as well. How have you done the different skin tones?
So all of them were painted what's essentially the old elf flesh, which is just like a very light salmony pink. And then just different layers of contrast paints and a few different washes. I still have some of the old Ogren Flesh wash from the old Games Workshop washes. And I've got some of the Army Painter washes.
Things.
No, the Army Painter washes. They did a whole set of skin paints, which I'm going to use for the layers. No, they're just normal paint on
regular wash. Okay,
they're normal paint on washes, but they did like a flesh tone set, and there's like 3 different washes. Sort of a light, a medium, and a very dark. So that's helps with getting some different tones in there. And then it's got. Well, these all still need more highlights on them. They're all just kind of the base tones and some washes. But yeah, they're getting there, and I've picked up. Darkoath Chieftain and the Darkoath War Queen as well, and I got a couple of Chaos Warriors because I want some fighters that can not die at a stiff breeze.
Because you're playing Darkoath.
A Darkoath pretty weak in a fight. Then I'd have thought they'd been quite good. Or is it just
they do a lot of damage, but they can't. Yeah, they can't really take much of a hit.
They're naked, Russ. They do a lot of damage, but they're not wearing any armor.
And I did the thing where I built all of the sort of like junior fighters all got the same loadout, because I was like, I can't be asked learning 3 different loadouts for the cheap warriors. They're all just going to have paired hand weapons, and they can deal with that.
Yeah, that's what I've very much done the same.
You know how I occasionally have those ideas where it's like I have an idea and then I have to do it, and I regret the fact I've realised that I want to do it and now I have to do it.
Oh no!
I've just looked at those models and realised I want to get those models and paint them as like Celtic warriors, like Slain from 2000 AD.
That means you'd have to paint tattoos.
The trousers really detailed and all that sort of thing.
Still thinking of putting some tattoos on these or some like war paint or something, just because there's so much bare skin that it kind of needs something. But we'll see how that goes. That might come after I've...
Oh, dear. Yeah, looking brilliant, Bobbie. Good progress. I do not envy... One of my absolute things I hate is having done the skin, then having to paint the straps.
See, I don't mind doing it that way around. Trying to do it the other way around, I struggle.
Oh, yeah, I hate that way around too.
Yeah, but you just don't like painting.
Yeah. But those are the sort of specific things I'm like, oh, this is just tedious. Painting straps. No one wants to be. If I make one wrong move, I'm screwed. But yeah, that doesn't bode well for me. Russ, how have you been doing?
Finished a model.
You finished a model.
Nice.
So how are the guys? So you've picked again. You've picked like a relatively complicated band to do.
It's not. It's actually. I probably didn't use many more paints than Gary. Having said that,
and you've still gone for orange and blue, which.
Yeah. Well, I think like my 2 favorite colors are orange and turquoise anyway. So my blue is slightly a thinned down Pterodon turquoise rather than what everyone Gary used.
What are you using, Gary?
It was like a contrast. Hang on. My notes. It is
a thematic blue.
Something Frostheart.
Okay.
Yeah, my one's the where's it gone? Yeah, Pterodon turquoise. I've got it on the desk somewhere. And apart from that, it wasn't that. The only bit that was even more than one layer was the skin. And apart from that, it's all contrast paints everywhere.
Right.
But the fun part is, so the thing I have got lots done is I've got the entire warband assembled, undercoated, washed, and 1 layer of stippling. And I've got to do maybe 1, maybe 2 layers more stippling.
How were they to assemble? Because they looked like a fiddly one.
They weren't as bad as I first feared. They are fiddly, but nowhere near the fiddliest Games Workshop thing I've ever assembled. And the fiddly bits, where you have bits that join together, they did a good job of, for example, if you had a wrist that needed joining, they put a bangle on the wrist so that they could put a decent, I don't know what you'd call it, like a little insert bit, like a male-female connector sort of thing.
Increased contact area,
Yeah, exactly. And it all went together fairly. I'm not going to say it was an absolute doddle, but it all went together fairly easily. This one was an absolute sod.
Oh, the dog guy.
Yeah, he had. Well, actually, it's hard to tell because if you look under there at the sort of breastbone, it's hard to tell if it's like boobs or just saggy bits. But I think it's a she, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
And that particular part was really hard to hold it where it needed to be in order to glue in place. And if you let go, it'd fall out. And if you didn't let go, you'd accidentally push it in too far.
That reminds me of the Underworld's Witch Elves, where you need to push the front and back of the torso together, and there's like a tab that catches both the arms, so you don't need to glue them, but it does require you to have 4 hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I needed about 3 hands for the dog. But apart from that, they were all relatively straightforward. But actually, I've really enjoyed. They're a really nice set to paint, because I've done the Gryph-hound Orange, same as Gary, and I'm actually I think you can probably see it in the photo I sent you lot. Because I've done the stippling before I've applied any of the colours, I think there's a really nice texture on the orange robe around the legs.
Gryph-hound Orange is one of the really nice ones. I used it on Mibby, which I took to Fest doing Underworlds, and I got loads of compliments on how beautiful the robes were. And I was like, it's literally Gryph-hound Orange, and I did a quick highlight on the edges, and that was it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to bother doing a highlight on this. I just think that because I've already got the pre-shading, I think it actually would almost take away to have a smooth
edge
anywhere, even at the very, very edges, let alone the contours. So the turquoisey bit is much smoother because I didn't do any stippling there, and it looks like it almost looks to me like it's a cotton underskirt and then like a rougher woven like wool or something over part. And yeah, I'm just really happy with it. And then the skin, slightly more work, but it's just Darkoath flesh. Coelia green, and then a bit more Darkoath flesh. I've got some Instar paints, equivalent of the old Deneb stone.
Oh yeah,
and then even the gold bits is Iyanden yellow on the bits that have gone slightly gold, and 2 layers of Basilicanum grey for the black/metal bits. And it doesn't really look. I'm not going to try and say it actually looks like non-metallic metal, but it looks good enough.
Yeah.
And then the ropey bits are just Skeleton Horde, and the ends are Snakebite leather. So there's not many paints on there, really.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy with it, considering how quick it was to do. Like, it's quick enough. Like, it's only 10 models in the warband, but it's quick enough. You could do an army that way,
Yeah. All of us are going down this and going, we just want to get them painted so we can play the damn games. I think is a lot of this. And that's one of the joys of doing a Warcry warband or one of these skirmish games, is you can just go, I'm going to try out this weird thing and see if I can get it all done. And then...
Yeah. I was just saying that I think we're all getting, the use of contrast paints. We're learning about the underpainting level that's required to really utilize that pre-shading, and then it just adds in the shadow and you're done.
But also about thinking about the texture you get as you do your pre-shading as well, because you can actually get very different textures on the same model just by doing your pre-shading right.
Yeah, like you're doing the stippling as opposed to a dry brush.
Yeah.
All looks brilliant. I must say. So I'm doing kind of the same. So I've started building. I started building my guys. Mine are, it turns out, so fiddly. Oh my God, they're fiddly. They are so easy to break. I've broken some already. The tridents on my champions, I've had to file down the 2 side prongs because I broke one of them, and I was like, I'm not gluing that back on. So they've got spears instead of tridents. They are fiddly as hell. They are easy to break. the spider guys. So yeah, basically I've got a few of them assembled. It's very, very easy to break them. And I went through the models. I feel a little bit like I might have made a bad choice because they are a bit like, kind of like yours, Bobbie. They're skin, straps, rags, and it's all the stuff I really don't like painting. And I was
there's
thinking,
only 8, so
there are only 8 of them. Yeah, so I was thinking like, well, how do I do this? And I think I've got up with a solution. Like, there's a bit where you go, well, maybe this is the time where you really take your time. But I really fucking hate painting straps. I think the clever thing is what you're doing, Gary, which is essentially I might just go, right, first thing I do, all the straps, all the model almost is get skeleton bone, like bony sort of straps, and then I'll go around and do the skin a few different shades with some skin washes, and just do a really wash based, and almost the whole model wash based. And then
orange and turquoise, though, right?
Orange and turquoise, obviously. So then do all their hoods in orange with spots and stripes and things, and all their or maybe all their blades or bones in a bit of like turquoisey bone color. And so they all become quite monochrome. They all become a little like really, really monochrome group. And then what I found, which I'm really pleased about, I found from Infernal Prints on eBay, I found just bags of spiders. Bags. They're only 3D printed, so in theory,
tiny spiders.
Yeah, but they're so small that I wouldn't want to have the hassle of how many I'm going to break trying to pull them off the supports on my own printer. So just for the sake of like a $5, and you get a bag of spiders, and I think they're intended for use in like gits, like goblin gangs, because they come with a few surreptitious mushrooms in there too.
I need a link for them. Because what I'm going to do is buy a batch of them, spray paint them, just dry brush them all so they look like little tiny spiders, and then I'm going to put them in a jiffy bag and send them to my friend in Australia who's terrified of spiders.
Your friend who lives in Australia is terrified of spiders.
Not a good place to be terrified of spiders,
right? I know.
Yeah, so they've got this idea that all I do actually, I'll paint the guys really monochrome, like literally like bone contrast, mix a bit of brown in, do a few more straps, mix a different brown in, do a few more straps, paint all the skin a slightly different, like off weird tinged color, slightly green tinged or something, give them a bright orange hood, and then get a couple of bags of spiders, paint all the spiders absurdly bright primary colors, spotty yellows, green and red stripes, things like that, and then glue them all over the guys. All over the places.
Get the new like primary color contrast paints, like the really like the Randress green and all those sort of ones.
Just like literally every contrast paint in my collection, one per spider, and just paint and get as many other spiders as I can. These guys come with spider bases. Just get all the spiders and paint them the silliest, bright primary colors possible. Yeah. And then afterwards, just glue them all on it. Maybe some really bright mushrooms and tufts and swampy things. So the guys are like almost monochrome, and everything around them is the most colourful jungle they've ever been in. I think that's my plan for getting through this gang of guys in rags and straps, which is exactly what I hate painting. There's progress. That counts as progress, isn't it? Yeah, so that's how I'm going. I'm hoping that this week I'll assemble the rest of the gang and get them all undercoated and start on that. So just get the gang done first and then spend loads of time having fun with spiders. That's the idea. But yeah, so we should say that actually an awful lot of people are also joining in with us. So we have community progress for the first time in a couple of months. So if you didn't know, the way this works is I have a Patreon, and that involves a few different levels, one of which involves a Discord page. What we do is we say that people who are on the slightly higher level definitely get into this, because what we found when we did Horus Heresy is we got an orb. We were getting a lot of entries. This was turning to a very long episode every week. So if you're on the higher level, you're definitely in. If you're on the lower level, we'll try and feature everyone at some point through the level. But actually, we've got loads of entries. People are doing loads of stuff. I think it's because people have already got warbands and they've got things they've been working on for a while, and they're joining in with this. And I think Warcry is one of those games that I think a lot of people have been thinking about trying for ages.
Yeah.
So,
So it's one of those things that always gets pushed down the list because there's always a bigger job. So you finally get to this, and it's a bit of a change of pace. Yeah.
Until 4 randoms on the internet tell you should be painting it. So let's start our community progress with Matt, who has started with his Scions of the Flame. So he's got 4 of them built and painted. Did about 3 months of Horus Heresy Tale of War Gamers, but only did 3 months of it, but ended up with the biggest army they've built in 20 years, thanks to the motivation. So, good, achieved. So these are looking really good. Really deep. This is the opposite of everything we've been talking about.
Yeah, the flames look really nice, and that's an effect that's always tough to do. And the basing's really nice as well. I like the bases on them.
I want to see the flames closer up, so I'm going to add him. I'm literally going to add him on Instagram now, so I can look more closely at the flames because they look really good.
Talentless painting on Instagram.
It's his photography is really good because it really sort of works with the flame.
Follow him.
He's also done flames the right way round, which I always do wrong. I always end up painting the tips of my flames lighter, like you're highlighting things, when in fact that's not how fire works.
No.
But hotter in the middle, Ian. Yeah,
hotter in the middle, brighter in the middle. Yeah, correct. They look fantastic. Macariel has joined in. I wrote down in the document what gang they're doing, and I've noted down for this everything. Monaco has had a sort of decision paralysis on what band to start with. So started with 3 Stormcast Eternals, which everyone's got some of. So finally got to start those, which look blue and red. Soulblight Graveyard Lords, which is vampires, right? That's the word for vampires now.
Yeah.
Because they can take blood knights and they look cool. And the Hunters of Quan Chi, who are one of the most popular, they're going to come up in a lot. And got them like everyone else on Discord. Everyone's painting lizards.
Yeah, it's a lizard channel.
So I see the Soulblight have some nice pink skeletons going on there. They're looking very good. And are those carrion in the back?
The big crows, I'm not sure. Yeah. They're from
Stormcast friendly birds, right?
Yeah, it's like the Stormcast birds, and then like the pterodon-y thing that the lizards get.
They're looking brilliant. So that's a lot to go. Maybe you will settle on actually a gang to play.
It's his Stormcast are all done as Bretonians, right?
Is that right? Yeah, they're doing that sort of colour. Like each one of them has their own livery, which I suppose is one of the nice things about doing Warcry, right?
Yeah.
Mark has been doing Sylvaneth. Initial submission, really excited to join in. They've drawn up the list. So a few people are doing this. They've drawn up the list about Ilthari's Guardians, which is the Underworld's gang. That's what Nathan's doing. He's bought the 2 Skaven gangs, and they're going to form the basis of his Warcry thing, the Skaven Underworld's teams. So Ilthari's Guardians pulled in an Arch Revenant and Kurnoth Hunter from their existing Sylvaneth army, with a job lot of Revenants on the way. So again, looking good. Again, a lot of, I think this is an underpainting one as well, isn't it? Underpainting and contrast paints, it looks like.
I mean, the ones at the front are just grey.
They're a range that really lend themselves to that sort of like dry brushing, underpainting style.
Yeah.
Because there's so much detail on there, and it all has to look quite natural.
Yeah, you got to find all the little spirits to pick out in a bright colour and stuff.
Yeah, it's an exercise in contrast, isn't it? I like the sort of green and gold look on the guy with wings. Don't know what name is.
Yeah. Is that the Kurnoth Hunter? They said there's a Kurnoth Hunter and
that's the Arch Revenant.
There's 3 men.
Yeah, I think that's the Arch Revenant, and the Kurnoth Hunter's the bigger one.
The big blue one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know which way around it is. Yeah, I think the other thing to say, and I'm going to say this again further down because I've already scored ahead. I think the basing on Sylvaneth is always really important, and looking at the back base there looks really nice. I think it's more important for Sylvaneth than it is for most other models.
Also, an advantage of doing Underworld's gangs is they come with scenic bases.
Yeah.
Dan has gone for Soulblight Graveyard Lords, which is vampires, as an excuse to paint up some of the minis I've had lying around for too long. So you can see there's some models there from the Underworld's warband. There's some people from Cursed City there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think the guy on the right.
The big guy, yeah.
So really enjoyed our TOFG series. Really happy that this is a smaller project that can actually finish. I hope so. We all hope so. Looking really good. Looking like they're coming on.
Where are those skeletons from? Are they just the basic set of skeletons that you can buy from GW now? Because they're really nice.
Those are now the old skeletons.
Oh, are they?
Those are the ones that have gone out of production. The new ones with the armor.
Okay.
With those spears, those cool spears.
Yeah. The spears are in that kit.
Yeah, they look really good as well. Anyway,
They're looking fantastic. Yeah, that's looking really, really good. Jenny. So Jenny was doing Astra Militarum for Heresy, which have just got some attributability rules, some Imperialist militia. So Jenny is doing Orcs. Big and stompy. There won't be many, but they will be tough as heck and very killy. I was inspired by my white scars to do a grim, rusty off-white armor and a mossier shade of green skin. And it's been really fun with experimenting with enamel weathering. Converted some of our boys from Blood Bowl Black Orcs with brute bits. Interesting.
Looks really good.
Yeah, that sort of off-white armor is a lovely thing to do. You can, because you're just doing weathering, really.
Yeah.
And those Blood Bowl Orc sculpts are really nice. I've got some of those that I've converted to just be like really big, tough orcs in my Goth army.
There was a lot of those in conversions at the Golden Demon. There was a lot of different orc squads had those mixed in. Like there was a really nice pirate one, had a few of them in there.
And I think also you can see there she's got some piggies, which is always the best thing about orcs. That's what we all play Warfare for, is the pets. Greg, now I can't remember the name of this, so I've put the words Iron Guys.
Iron Golems?
Iron Golems, yeah.
Iron Golems, that's what they're called. So this is the very first Warcry warband. So Greg is great at procrastinating over painting, which is why the bases are further along than the minis. Clear idea of what they're doing with the bases, though. Yeah, okay, so they're like crystal Giants Causeway-ish sort of bases.
Yeah. The thing that I really like about that gang is the little Chaos Dwarf in there, like a little teaser of what they could do. You know?
It was such a good intro to Warcry, wasn't it? It's like, this is what Warcry is like. You've got your Ogre guy, your normal guys, your Chaos Dwarf, and they're all in a gang together, and they're all, themed around.
It's a bit like Dungeon Bowl. It's a bit like a little mix of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I like them. They're looking really good. Those bases, I think, are going to look lovely, and I think this is exactly the sort of project where you get to do silly bases. At least I think so, anyway. Will was right. So there are many Wills doing lizards. So Will R is doing Hunters of Huanchi and has started work. This is Will that we know from the events.
He needs to get in the bin. They're too good. Never wants to look bad.
Yeah,
piss off if he's going to make us look this bad. Do you have to put his stuff up on the screen?
I'm a particular fan of the blowpipe in a bush.
Yeah.
The blowpipe in a bush is brilliant.
The chameleon color schemes are amazing.
Yeah, they're really, really nice. These are brilliant. 3 models in an arm painted, the arms in a bush.
So good, that one.
Trying to use real chameleons as a basis, but it takes ages. They're looking incredible, Will. And then also Will is also doing Hunters of Huanchi, Seraphon. So suspect this will just be one of many lists of warbands. First foray into contrast paint. Okay, yeah. So this is first go at contrast paint using the range of extremely good contrast greeny bluish colours.
Yeah.
And again, looking really good. You've got some of those bat people there as well. They're obviously perched on an extremely ancient piece of ruined tower there.
What's that from?
Can't remember.
That's like the cardboard one from 3rd edition when you got the little cardboard tower in the box with the elves and
Did you?
I think so, yeah.
That's not from the
I think that's from an expansion.
Pretty sure I had that tire from some main box.
It's definitely not from it's definitely not from 4th edition Warhammer box.
No.
And it's not from 2nd edition 40k.
Yeah, I think that's from one of the weird little box supplement things. Yeah. Anyway, we follow Will and their lizards with Will and his burbs. So Will's doing Corvus Cabal. This is Will Hammer. Will Hammer, who we met at Warhammer Fest briefly. Doing Corvus Cabal, and they're either going to be all the most flamboyant, garishly colourful set of birds out there, or all the minions will be like crows with the leaders and champ in full colour.
You know what I saw somebody do that I've been meaning to try and replicate myself for ages is to do feathers by painting the feathers silver, giving them a dark black wash, and then giving them like bright washes over the top of that. So I did something similar on some Anvil Industry Spectre miniatures, and it worked really well. And I think it worked really well on feathers. And I've been waiting for ages to see somebody do that, because like you get crows with that sort of like oily rainbow sort of appearance. I reckon that, you know, the right person with the right persistence and perseverance could make some really good feathers doing it that way. I'd love to see that. I mean, hopefully he'll ignore me and just do what he wants to do. But, you know, I reckon
if you haven't got any ideas, then that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's the potential to get some really awesome crow-like shiny dark feathers.
I do a lot of my like swords and lenses and things by basically painting the palest silver I've got and then doing a contrast over the top. Yeah, which is a really nice way to do it without having to paint lenses. But yeah, looking great. So good luck with that. Gerbil Papa, right, so hasn't actually said what army this is, and I can't tell. Any idea? One model, it's terrifying. And they have a little poem. It might not seem much, you may be dismayed, but I've more unmade, no hint of charade, and maybe their parade. So it might be possible that more of these are made by now.
No, surely it's got to be the Unmade. There is a warband called the Unmade, isn't there?
Yeah, the Unmade.
Yeah,
that's what they are. And they're carrying a fork to eat dinner.
Well, they're all about self-mutilation, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Skin tones on that are fantastic.
Horrific. Yeah, that's absolutely horrific, Gerbil Dad. Yeah, looking really, really good. So, and I like the big rock they're standing on as well. That's looking really nice.
The skin tones on the skin cloak are great as well.
Well,
around
the back of the ankles as well. It's lovely. So, Rob then, and the exact opposite of this, Rob is going for absolutely ridiculous, over-the-top, colourful for their Sylvaneth. The Sylvaneth Warband, the Spring of the Morning Wood. Of the Morning Wood, not Morning Wood, very different thing. Kind of feel that this was a gateway drug to Age of Sigmar army. Hopefully should get them finished this month and then get a few games in. Looking brilliant. The contrast between the pink and the green is beautiful. Also, as we were saying, cherry blossoms, rivers on the bases.
Yeah, amazing bases.
Really nicely done. Lots of little colourful leaves. They're really, really nice.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, I really like those. Those are great. Callum is doing Stormcast. First character from their Stormcast Warbrand, the Forsworn, Lydia Wildthorn, and she's the Praetor Prime and leader of the Forsworn. So apart from this, and then building a base and coating a Vindictor is the only thing done so far. But yeah, this is looking really good. I like the banner on that. And this is the new. These are the new, very in proportion Stormcast, right?
Yeah, they've got a new name of armor, like Storm Strike armor or something.
Yeah, which it doesn't make them look.
The new Stormcast are really nice, actually.
Yeah.
And I've seen there's some amazing conversions with the newer version of Stormcast as well, but actually just the regular new Stormcast on their own are actually just very nice.
Yeah, they're just really nice models. They look a lot more like grizzled and knightly and believably in armor than the old ones did.
Rather than just too bulky. Yeah.
Isn't this model as well is a hard to get one, isn't it? Isn't it? It only comes in one place, like with a magazine or a store birthdays or something.
Oh wow, didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the rare ones.
I love it. It's great, and the sort of bright red and bright gold, and then everything else really gritty is quite nice.
Yeah.
Joe is doing Slaves to Darkness. First time submitting to this. Warcry is a great opportunity to use up a few of the spare Slaves to Darkness models lying around. So we've got an Exalted Heroes of Chaos, classic Crom the Conqueror model, and a Sorcerer, and then the rest are slowly getting there. And they're doing this like jade and bone armor look, which I think looks really nice.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Very good.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Similar Dark Elf Blood Bowl players like that once, but Joe's done it way better than I did it, I've got to say.
Yeah, I really like the blends and the highlights look really, really nice.
Yeah. I also like the little old Chaos Horsey in the background there. They're looking lovely. They're looking really, really nice. Mazu has gone on to make some Skavens. Doing some rats for Warcry. So rats are getting painted slowly but surely. Primarily been painting skin. In the foreground we have the blurry giant rats, Shank, Stab Knife, and Skip the Half Sentient. In the middle you've got Gabe, Beast Shaper, and Scrap the Right Hand. And in the back we've got Grab'ems, Whip'ems, and his Rat Ogres, Frapp'ems, and Crack'ems. Only Scrap's fully painted. The rest are on their way. So yeah, all getting there. Load of a pretty varied warband, I think, for Skavens.
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah, looking really, really nice. Looking like they're coming along nicely.
Two red ogres is going to be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to beat, isn't it? And then Tom has Seraphon, late night submission time, sneaking in at the last minute. Built the skinks from Hunters of Huanchi, so everyone that's like the billionth Hunters of Huanchi. Yeah, so skinks are done, basically just assembled. So yeah, and they've got a Seraphon army, so this is like an adjunct to that, which is quite a nice idea. Yeah, brilliant. Good luck. Hope that goes well. Odie is then doing orcs. So Odie Grotsniffer has done some orcs. So Cruel Boys Warband. And then the Gut Ripper boss will be filled as a kill boss. So good progress there. Just basic highlights, maybe some Zenithals in there. Just got them up and running, which is nice.
Got some ranged weapons, which are quite rare, I think.
Oh, yes, big crossbows.
Is that unusually in Warcry? Yeah, now you say that. I hadn't thought about it before, but you're right, aren't you? Yeah.
We got the blue pipes on the skinks, but not much else up there.
Pretty rare, though, yeah.
And then finally, Matthew is doing the best of war bands, the Spooders. Matthew's doing Tarantulos Brood, and they've painted all their green spiders back there, and yeah, coming along really nicely. Very busy. Yeah, they look kind of like they're done. I see that they've assembled them better than I did because you can see that trident has 3 proper prongs on it.
The spiders look really good in green, don't they? I would never have painted spiders in green, but it really suits them.
Maybe I'll do a couple of green ones. Yeah, looking brilliant. So look, well done everyone. We've got some good progress going on there. In a month's time, we're hoping by next month we would have a few other things out of the way. We're hoping that we would have all started actually playing some games. I'm really hoping I get like a test game in the next couple of weeks. I want to learn what I'm doing. Yeah, it'd be really nice.
We need to get down to Bad Moon or something, or find a Wednesday at Hate or something. But
I'm gonna try while I'm up in Nottingham. Maybe someone in Nottingham wants to teach me Warcry. I did persuade the guy doing demos at Warhammer Fest to agree for me to come into Warhammer World and get a demo. So maybe that'll happen. But yeah, so thanks everyone. Thanks to everyone in the community for submitting. Thanks, gang, for being here once again. And onwards, I think. It's a busy summer with lots of events happening, but thankfully we're not doing a heresy army. So this should be pretty easy. We are also doing heresy armies. And
I do still need to finish mine, so there might be some heresy updates at some point.
yeah. But brilliant. Well, look, thank you once again. Thank you for everyone entering into the community. If you'd like to join in, then links are in the thing below, as are links to all of our Instagrams, which are all up there next to our names, so that you can follow us along. The hashtag is Tale of 4 Gamers, or TO4G. And we will see you in a few weeks with definitely painted warbands. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Well done, everyone. See you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
And then bye.